Chapter 14. An Unexpected Encounter. Sue wanted to remain hidden in the safety of the abandoned apartment building. The long, pitch-black nights filled her with loneliness while ghosts roamed the halls. She hoped the random noises came from specters and not raiders invading her castle. Fear left her trembling behind the barricaded door, frozen in place. Safety had its price. Her once bountiful supplies dwindled as the days passed. Even with bright sunlight shining inside the building, Sue feared exploring the other apartments. Who knew what horrors waited behind each door? Deep down, she knew the time to move on had come. She'd leave at first light, looking for the next opportunity to live another day. Another fitful night of sleep left Sue spent before the sun even broke over the horizon. Not the way she wanted to start her morning, since she didn't know how long the day's journey would be. Even with no luck, Sue hoped to find someone willing to work with her so they'd all survive. There had to be at least one decent person left in the world. Not wanting to tempt fate, Sue went to the roof, climbing down the fire escape to the street, traveling the same path she used to escape the man in the black leather jacket. Logic told her that they had moved on days ago, but her paranoid brain lost the ability to reason. Every closed hallway door hid a new monster, more evil than the last. Stan, the weatherman's last broadcast, ran the morning before the EMP attack. She used to love his antics, even if his forecasts were way off. Even without Stan's wild guesses, and with the sun still low on the horizon, Sue knew the day would become another scorcher. Sweat dripped from her forehead, testifying to this. The sun turned Sue's bare shoulders pink as she trudged along the cracked asphalt road. She wore a loose-fitting white tank top, along with a pair of cut-off jeans. A long shower, clean clothes, and a steak dinner became her ultimate dream. Things she took for granted before the power shut off. She trudged on. A loud bang rang out behind her from the empty husk of a multi-story office building. Her head snapped around, almost giving her whiplash. Broken windows stared back at her like dark caves cut into a remote mountain range. With her head bouncing and spinning like a bobblehead in a taxicab, Sue tried to look everywhere at once, not knowing if she wanted to find other survivors or not, fear clouding her mind. When her vitals returned to normal, she wiped the sweat from her brow with a dirty rag. She felt foolish because of her overreaction, but she needed to remain vigilant if she wanted to remain among the living. Raiders materialized like a mist without warning, looking to take advantage of the next poor soul. No more playing the victim for her. Sue's stomach rumbled, interrupting her thoughts. The hunger pains had become a familiar companion. She rifled through her pack, taking stock. 2 bottles of water, a dented can of beans, and half a protein bar. Regret for not exploring the other vacant apartments renewed within her. What she carried would have to do for now, but the time to scavenge wouldn't wait much longer. She stashed the food back in her dirty pack, noticing her lack of a weapon. Time to move on, leaving all the regrets behind. The rumble of a diesel engine shattered the silence, freezing Sue in place. An alien sound since the EMP attack. She had watched all the vehicles stop running on day 1. Her lizard brain took over, pushing Sue to dive for cover behind a dead SUV. The scene felt familiar to Sue, and she wondered if a day would come where fear wasn't her first response to an encounter. She peeked through a broken rear window, searching for the source of the noise. A military-style Humvee crawled down the road, filled with angry-looking men. Each passenger pointed a rifle out their open windows. Sue hyperventilated as her heart rattled her ribcage. Another group of raiders. What a surprise. She crouched below the window frame, trying to maintain control of her bodily functions. The Humvee turned the corner, disappearing from view. Its rumble faded away as it exited the city, leaving her alone. She let out a shaky sigh, not realizing she had held her breath. Tension flowed from her body as Sue slumped against the SUV. There had to be a better way to live, rather than running from close call to close call. Action rather than reaction. Sue needed someone to rescue her so she could rebuild this lawless world into something good. Where could she find someone like that? Only in her dreams. Summoning all her will, Sue pushed herself onto her feet. Her knees shook as she got her bearings, preparing to continue her journey. A combination of loneliness and physical exhaustion threatened to derail her progress. She shuffled, one foot in front of the other, traveling down the road. Her will and body complained with each step. As she reached the end of the line of buildings, Sue discovered an overgrown, sprawling park. She marveled at how fast nature took over once man stopped her constant meddling. Weeds choked the flower beds, encroached on the walking paths, and the nice lawn resembled a wheat field. The gate spread wide, inviting her inside for a break. Sue stood in front, trying to decide if the park or streets would be the safer alternative for traveling. After an internal debate, she crossed through the park's welcoming gates, hoping to avoid any new dangers. A welcomed paradise. Sue made it halfway across the park before heavy footsteps thudded behind her. She spun around, prepared for fight or flight. A giant of a man raced toward her, faster than his size should have allowed. Her hand went to her belt before her brain remembered that she had lost her pistol long ago. As he approached, Sue looked up. And up. This behemoth stood close to 7 feet tall, covered with rippling muscles. His long, unkempt hair blew in the breeze. A ragged salt and pepper beard set off his piercing aquamarine eyes. They reflected an intelligence and kindness despite his intimidating facade. Even though he stood about 7 feet away from her, he reached out, placing his hand on her shoulder. The act invoked no fear, only a comfort that Sue found a worthy guardian. "Are you okay, little lady? I watched those punks drive through town." His deep voice rumbled with no threat. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." He released her shoulder, taking a step away from her. Sue felt like she had sprung up 6 inches after the weight of his hand left her. She stared at the giant stranger, willing her mouth to work. His overwhelming presence left her mute. "Who are you?" Somehow she got the words out, realizing how her response lacked any creativity. A smile bent his lips, lighting up his eyes, sucking the danger out of the meeting. "I'm Ulysses. What's your name?" She hesitated, not sure if she trusted Ulysses. After getting burned so many times, her heart became calloused. Something inside his twinkling eyes, an open expression, smashed down her barriers. "I'm Sue." Ulysses nodded with a big grin. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Sue," he continued. "I haven't seen a friendly face in weeks. I thought the world had gone to hell. Everyone out only for themselves. They don't care who they hurt, as they take everything for themselves." Sue nodded. "There are some decent people left, others trying to survive on their own until the raiders come. Then they destroy the weak." "Raiding parties been giving you trouble too?" Ulysses asked. Sue sighed. "Yeah, every time I find a safe place, they show up. Then I'm running for my life all over again." Ulysses' expression turned dark. "They're savage bastards. The world has gone to shit at their hands. It's time to fight back." He turned away from her, staring at the horizon. Sue wondered if he was looking backward or looking forward. Then he continued. "But we don't have to accept this abuse. We can stop it by building something better." Sue tried to decipher his meaning. "What are you suggesting?" "I've heard rumors about a settlement a few days' hike west. It's safe from raiders and has plentiful supplies. People trying to restore civilization in a post-apocalyptic world. We could find it together." She wanted to believe him, but her recent experience said to run away. Her stomach rumbled, pushing her to decide. "How do I know the place is real? How do I know you aren't out for no good?" Ulysses' face broke out with a huge smile, and he chuckled. His reaction reflected mirth, not cruelty. "Miss Sue, if I had planned on being mischievous, I'd have done it by now and disappeared. We won't know if the place is real or not until our eyes fall upon it. I swear to you, I'll keep you safe in the meantime." He offered his massive paw to Sue after his invitation. Something about Ulysses inspired confidence, evaporating Sue's worries. She could continue on alone on her own or take a chance in his company. Sue made the choice. His gentle grip accepted her slender fingers as they strolled away. Her fear and anxiety ebbed with each step. A bit of doubt still lingered in the far reaches of her mind. "Let's go find a new home, Sue."